Going to game 2 of the series again. This is going to be Paul versus Captain Price. Captain Price got destroyed pretty surprisingly badly, actually. I was surprised. I was honestly quite surprised with the outcome of that game. It ended so quickly, and Price even had a pretty early lead, getting the first wipe of the game with his BAR rifleman on Paul's Grenadiers. But then Paul turned things around quite quickly with a nicely placed S-mine field and counter blob of his own, plus of course close air support. He never even needed anti-tank of any kind because Price fielded no vehicles, and Paul, I think, knew what Price was doing. Probably expected rifle company. Got no company, just BARs. Same basic strategy though, just slightly different build. So that was the game. 13-minute victory for Paul with a huge amount of victory points left. Price is now going to have to try and top that as Oberkommando West, OKW up against Paul's Soviets. Factions completely switched. No US forces, no Oster. Let's see how it goes. We've got Shock Rifle, Armored Assault, and Guard Motor against Price's Fortifications, Breakthrough, and Elite Armor. That's rather interesting. And a Kuba wagon fielded. Kuba is going to head straight north. And Stern Pioneers are taking control of the center victory point right there. Volks Grenadiers making their way towards the north fuel right there. Kuba wagon doing minor damage to those conscripts in green cover. They'll be free to advance into the center VP, though. Stern Pioneers trying to disengage from the center completely. I think that model right there took most of that damage, so I think the squad's going to be quite close to losing a model in the very next engagement. Probably no more than one volley away from that. Paul sets up a flank on the Kuba wagon, nicely timed. And it does have to try and get to safety. This squad oorahing up to try and get shots on the rear. Doesn't quite get the volley off in time. Kuba wagon gets to safety along the road, I think. Needs to keep moving. Oh, that little last burst of damage was close. And Price is actually going to go double stern pyos. Double stern pyos. Very bold. Kuba wagon needs to be very careful. Very careful. Also, Price apparently attempted to deny access to that building unsuccessfully. Apparently those conscripts can still get inside thanks to the magic of teleportation. I hope they're not stuck. They might be completely screwed now when they leave the building. They might get trapped in that little pocket. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. I hope Paul didn't just lose that squad of conscripts because of his decision to get in this building. They're dead, aren't they? They're dead, aren't they? Oh my god, I think they're screwed. Oh no! Oh no, that is so devious. That's even better than what Price was probably trying to do. That squad is dead. There's nothing Paul can do. Oh my god. Oh, Price, you sneaky bastard. Look at that. That is some funny shit. Volks Grenadiers taking control of this here in the north. We'll probably be forced away by conscripts right here. Kuba wagon fully repaired and on its way. Whoa, Kuba wagon just got wrecked. Oh my god, I missed that whole engagement, but a perfect three-way flank on that Kuba wagon takes it down so quick. Kuba goes down. Volks Grenadiers are going to be forced to retreat over here on the right side, and two squads of Stern Pyos are on the field.
Half-track is in action. Standing by for setting of command post.
Assembled and ready.
And these two squads are on their way to engage against conscripts here in green cover. Price pretty much just ignoring the conscripts in that building for now, but they're not going anywhere, so there's the retreat. Volks Grenadiers taking control of this sector. Conscripts moving up into the green cover of the destroyed Kuba wagon to keep those Stern Pioneers back. Got a nice volley on them at that range. By the time they make it to green cover, they're already at about 2/3 HP. Stern Pioneers here against another squad of conscripts don't seem to be doing a whole lot better. This double Sturm 3 Volksgrenadier Kuba wagon build is not working very well for Price. He's basically losing everywhere despite the fact that he trapped a squad of conscripts inside this building. And he doesn't seem to be able to get into close range to win an engagement with his Sturm Pios. Conscripts forcing retreats from them or unfavorable repositioning from them. Pretty much on all fronts. Even with this double Sturm Pioneer build, Price doesn't seem to be having that much success in winning engagements. But he does have very good map control, actually, for left side colony from a west axis. Not amazing, but decent, and he's certainly keeping the victory points from ticking against him. Clock currently stopped, just trying to keep surviving, really, against what Paul currently has on the field. Paul has not chosen a commander yet. He's up to a 5 conscript opening in addition to tier 2 and healing and AT grenades, so... There goes that squad. Needs to jump inside the house.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Stern Pioneers healed, may move to start working on the conscripts inside the building. This squad healing up by the truck. If he sends both at the same time, May with Volksgrenadier meat shield, he should have no problem brute forcing that to death. Although he will take probably a little bit of manpower bleed in the process, which is why he's been pretty much just ignoring them for now. Flamethrower upgraded here for Paul, and they're going to retreat back to the safety of the base. These squads healing and reinforcing here. And this conscript squad's taking control of the strategic point. Here comes the wipe for Price. Gonna finds an opportunity to bring these 3 squads in. I think Paul should have just stayed in the building. He can't save them. At least he could have bled their manpower. By leaving the building, it makes it easier for Price to wipe the squad. Without taking that much damage in return. And there they go. Easy wipe for Price. So this house is a death trap for either side, by the way. If Price puts a squad in that house with a misclick or anything like that, they are also going to have no escape, so... Interesting. Interesting tactic.
Grenadier are on the line.
Shock troops fielded, making their way towards the front line. Here comes 3 squads from Paul, making their way up the center with a flamethrower and 2 squads of conscripts. Stern Pioneers jumping into close range on that flamethrower will try and slowly work it out of the building. Flamethrower doesn't get any crits yet. Conscripts are moving up through the road, and shock troops moving up through the right flank will easily win against those Sturms. There's a full retreat from Price, who's not doing nearly the damage he needs to that flamethrower to win this. And he doesn't want to suffer any additional manpower bleed, so he gets those to safety. Volksgrenadiers working on the north. Need to try and hold on to as much territory as possible against a squad of conscripts right there, building there in the fuel point. Another squad set up here on the cutoff for this push, and another squad set up in the building for this push. Flamethrower working on the squad, but Volksgrenadiers will force the retreat. Focus firing that flamethrower down. Shock troops charge into close range on 2 squads of Volksgrenadiers over here, with conscripts firing from the north, and Price looks like he will lose that engagement. Squad will be forced to retreat right there, and shock troops have not taken a single loss. So... Paul takes that engagement easily with that squad of shocks, and that is shock rifle chosen by Paul, who will be going for IS-2s over the course of this game, depending on how long it lasts. He has managed to set up another triple cap. Despite the loss of his early conscript squad, he did trade a Kuba wagon, so I wouldn't say the Price is necessarily even ahead as a result of that. And he's going to purchase himself another Kuba wagon. No, he's not. He changed his mind. Not sure what he's thinking. Does have a battle group set up here in his base. No commander selection yet from Price. I would be surprised if he was actually going to go straight to elite armor call-ins. And if he does, he will stand no chance against IS-2s. But it kind of looks like that's what he's going to do. Up to 5 squads of Volksgrenadiers and 2 Sturm Pios. He should have an infantry corps just barely strong enough to win against this force from Paul. Stern Pioneers win against those shock troops, dodging the grenade and with their slightly more effective medium-range weapons force that retreat. Closing into medium range on these conscripts, that squad is taking quite a bit of damage, will be forced to retreat. Folks Grenadiers moving up to support. From this green cover position, they should eventually win against that squad of conscripts, taking the munitions point. But Paul does not seem to show any signs of losing that much map control anytime soon, doing a good job of forcing retreats from CaptainSPrice in a decent quantity, and he can't seem to get control of this munitions back. Still needs to work on that fuel point, and it's going to take a very long time to force those conscripts away, or not. I guess he didn't want to take any more manpower bleed, so he retreated a little early right there. Price is going to start blobbing around with those 3 squads to try and force retreats, get those conscripts off the field, and get some territory back. Paul has gone tier 2 into tier 3 and is fielding himself a T-34 rather than going straight for his own call-ins. He's still quite a few CPs away from KV-8, so he wants to get that tank out as soon as possible. Try and punish the fact that it appears CaptainSPrice is going straight to Panzer IV Elite Armor call-ins. From the look of things, we've seen people try and pull off Elite Armor before in this tournament, but I think so far Elite Armor has won 0 games, so I'm not exactly optimistic. Let's just say that. There it is. No turning back now. Elite Armor has been locked in. Stern Pioneers force a retreat right there. T-34 moving up into the middle. These 2 squads taking control of the victory point. Those 2 squads will be forced to retreat, and the T-34, the very first thing that T-34 does is crush that barbed wire. So that Paul can finally safely use that building again. The engagement for the north will see the shocks plus cons blob easily, forcing retreats from everything here in the north. Folks Grenadiers will try and bleed as well as they can from their position in green cover before getting charged and forced to retreat. It won't really inflict very much damage on those shocks. Paul will be pretty much free to stick around in this area and take control of all this territory. Grabbing the cutoff first while 1 conscript squad harasses in the south, and the T-34 is heading straight in Price's base. And Price will have no choice effectively to bridge the gap to his Panzer IVs with a Jagdpanzer. Jagdpanzer in production now, which he will use to try and push away that T-34. He does have 2 Panzer Shreks in addition to his Jagdpanzer, which means he's exhausted all munitions and fuel reserves, both resources of which you need huge quantities to field. Panzer IVs need a zillion munitions for their armor skirts and top-mount machine guns, and you need 210 fuel to field the units themselves, so doesn't look like that call-in's going to happen for at least the next 20 minutes or so. Meanwhile, Paul still has quite a bit of fuel left to collect for his IS-2. It's coming in at a pretty quick rate, since he is about to hold both fuel points. AT grenades have been researched on these conscripts, so that Jagdpanzer should probably think twice before doing that. Maxim, what is that Maxim doing? Maxim is suicidally diving that building. 2 Panzer Shrek squads set up for the T-34 right there. Incendiary artillery coming down on this blob, and the Maxim gets a miracle suppression burst before being insta-wiped right there, suppressing one of those Panzer Shrek squads. It has no choice but to retreat. This one continues the chase. Jagdpanzer trying to get a shot off. Oh, there it is. That shot at long range, that snipe. Nice snipe by Price. Nice wipe on the Maxim right here, and it looks like Price might be retaking control of this game. Wow. Oh, look at that. Conscripts will escape from the Volksgrenadier blob over here on the right side. Stern Pios force another retreat and get the Jagdpanzer fully repaired here. Volksgrenadiers could probably interfere with those conscripts' retreat path with some sandbag ghosts, but whatever, they would probably get away regardless. And Paul has fielded himself a mortar.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Went pretty hard into tier 2 actually. Maxim and a mortar fielded in addition to his 5 cons, 2 shocks, 1 T-34. Pretty decent mix. actually. Shocks going in on those Volksgrenadiers right there. Will force that retreat. Volksgrenadiers recover the Maxim. KV-8s are available to Paul, but he will not field one. He's just going to go straight for IS-2. Ooh, Stern Pioneers just got wiped there in the north because they were not being monitored for that engagement. Incendiary artillery also dropped on these two squads. Volksgrenadiers repositioned from the flames, and Maxim will retreat.
Shock troops can now be used to crush the enemy.
That squad retreats. This squad is gonna die. That was a late retreat on those Volksgrenadiers, and Stern Pios and Volksgrenadiers look like they're gonna get wiped. Maybe I'm wrong. Wow. There they go.
Infantry group lost.
Stern Pios and Volksgrenadiers wiped. Fortunately, that Volksgrenadier squad had no Panzerschreck. A replacement squad of Stern Pios is in production now.
Pioneer group is ready for action.
Price is gonna have manpower to spend on basically a lot of infantry, since I don't anticipate his resources getting up to these columns anytime in the foreseeable future. And he's gonna be trying to survive on Jagdpanzer for pretty much the rest of this game, if he can survive for the next 20, maybe longer minutes on victory points, trying to get that Jagdpanzer to kill all armored threats, including an IS-2 when it does eventually arrive. Maybe he'll eventually have Panzer IVs. But it's going to be a very long, hard road. And it doesn't seem to be succeeding in taking map control back. Trying to contend with two squads of shock troops is clearly proving very difficult. Grenade toss on that squad. Squad will dodge, sort of. Counter grenade right there is off target. Shock troops will force retreats from all these Volksgrenadiers. Price takes quite a bit of manpower, bleed and inflicts very little in return, and is unsuccessful in getting control of any territory. Fresh Stern Pios are on the field and upgraded with the Minesweeper. And this squad is going to run straight for that mortar, I think. But they're going to get caught by shock troops in their retreat path. And retreat immediately on site, try to get to safety. They should be able to get away. And the stolen Maxim will suppress those conscripts as they take back the center victory point. Volksgrenadier Blob is all reinforced and healed and is making its way back to the front line to try and get some territory back under control. And a fresh Maxim has been fielded for Paul, in addition to the Shocks and Flamethrower, making their way back to the front line with mortar support to try and push Price completely back into his base. Triple Cap begins against Captain Price again with only 250 victory points remaining. He definitely needs to win a couple engagements, get that victory point more securely under control, and try and get some territory back. He needs to get those resources coming in, or the IS-2 is going to arrive very soon, and it's too late, in fact, to prevent the IS-2. And try and get his columns to arrive. Molotov toss kills a couple Volksgrenadiers. Will force a retreat from those conscripts and get some territory under control here. Maxims both exchanging fire in the middle. Shock troops flanking that stolen Maxim will force the retreat. They briefly get suppressed. This Volksgrenadier squad also suppressed, taking flamethrower fire with two squads of shocks in their retreat path. Ooh, lucky flamethrower pop though from Volksgrenadier fire, and the smoke actually helps the Volksgrenadiers get to safety. Shock troops are instead going to rotate towards the north to force retreats from all of Price's infantry here. And Price has to find some way to force two squads of shock troops to retreat, because he definitely cannot win an engagement against that. There's a grenade toss. Pretty off target, doesn't hit anything. Everything is just going to immediately retreat because Price just can't beat that. Honestly, I think the only tool he has that can really beat this is the Jagdpanzer pushing and crushing, while a machine gun tries to suppress. He does have a Maxim. Maxim can help against shock troops, but they have a lot of smoke grenades and regular grenades, so can be tough. Squad gets away narrowly right there.
We have fallen to 200 points.
Grenade toss is a little off target on the Stern Pios right there. Shock troops dealing heavy damage at close range. That frag did quite a heavy amount of damage, the stern pilots will be forced to retreat. Maxim may be able to get those shock troops suppressed. Frag grenade will force the retreat. So a lot of munitions being spent by Price, which, by the way, significantly weakens these panzer forces if they ever do arrive. Although it looks like he might have munitions transfer on. Yes, he does. He does have munitions transfer on, which means he may have no intention of using any of his doctrinal features at all. Triple Cap continues against Price, and he is failing to take control of any territory anywhere. Nothing he's doing is working. This simple green cover position right here is shutting Price down hard. More infantry just move up to take the place of everything that falls behind it, and Price cannot seem to make any progress. He could use the Jagdpanzer, by the way, to destroy those sandbags. They're actually quite close to being destroyed as it is. There's the IS-2 defending center. Paul doesn't feel any particular need to move that to support the engagement for this area. Just going to defend in the middle. One squad of Volksgrenadiers being dedicated to harassment in the south, while the rest of Price's infantry makes its way towards the middle, where they will probably fail in an engagement against that IS-2.
Supply Hauptkette is ready for orders.
Sternpio jumps into the green cover crater here to start taking control of the center victory point. The rest flanking around the north of the structure. Maxim gets suppressed. Grenade into the structure almost destroys it, but not quite. Volksgrenadiers take a huge hit from the IS-2, and both of those squads are immediately forced to retreat. Maxim will also retreat. Decent mortar hit right there, weakening Price's forces ever so slightly. One squad being sent to counter that Volksgrenadier squad. With that 3 flamethrower, they should probably win against those Volksgrenadiers if they don't reposition slightly, so they're not so clumped. There goes one squad member. Looks like the flamethrower is going to take that. The engagement for the center will definitely go to Paul, and all of Price's infantry are forced back into the base. Bit of a late retreat on those Volksgrenadiers, but the flamethrower is going to retreat first, apparently. I honestly think the flamethrower was going to win that with 1 or 2 more flame bursts. Had a pretty decent amount of health left on that last model, but didn't want to risk it. There's a flak half-track on the field now. A little late. Usually you get the flak half-track and then the Jagdpanzer, rather than the other way around, but okay. This basically means that Price is trying to, because he has used none of his features at all, he's pretty much trying to win on Oberkommando West core units only. Which against shock rifle just is not cutting it. It really is not even coming close.
Squad back to full strength.
100 points remain. Reorganize the assault.
Incoming fire! Flanking attack! Enemy rounds! Keep your heads down!
Flak half-track engaging in the center will deal heavy damage to a Maxim right there. I don't think Paul was quite expecting that, but it barely gets away. Black half-track off to a pretty promising start. The IS-2 is going to pull away from the Volksgrenadier blob supported by the Jagdpanzer. Not quite feeling comfortable going in on that just yet. 2 Sternpio squads working on the south. Forced retreat from whatever was down here and get the point under their control, and the clock is stopped. Finally, Price at 78 victory points needs to maintain his very tenuous grasp on what territory he does have. A couple Volksgrenadier squads get melted by a Molotov there and will be forced to retreat. That squad's forced to retreat. That squad soon to be forced to retreat. The AT grenade fortunately bounces on the frontal armor of that Jagdpanzer, and the IS-2 is pulled back for repairs here on the northeast road.
Try to use cover as you move. Grenadiers back to full strength. Check equipment. Confirm mine detector is working. Enemy is alerted to our presence. Taking smaller!
Stern Pioneers set up in green cover here on the munitions point. Molotov toss into the cover position. They'll be forced to retreat. By the way, I see a lot of demo charge craters this game, but I haven't actually seen anything killed by those demo charges, so I feel like Price has been sweeping them, and I haven't been catching the explosions, but nice sweeping by Captain Price as far as I can tell, because I'm pretty sure his army would be significantly smaller if he were getting blown up on demos. Squad moving to engage against the conscripts here. They will be forced to retreat. IS-2 is ready for this push. Shot misses. Jagdpanzer moving to support. The flare there will provide vision, by the way, for Paul's IS-2 to fire at max range. Although I guess the IS-2 cannot fire beyond its vision range anyway, so whatever, never mind. But he does have vision. Does see what Paul's movements up here with his Volksgrenadiers and the Jagdpanzer. Meanwhile, in the south, a Maxim is deployed to get that victory point captured and hopefully keep it captured. Conscripts moving up from the south will expose themselves to flag half-track fire a little bit right there. Try to pull out of range and out of vision. They will do so successfully. These two squads of Stern Pioneers are going to move to try and get control of the south now. That squad will have to retreat away from the flag half-track. These squads moving up to Ura on that flag half-track may have made a mistake. They're going to be retreating through Stern Pio and flag half-track fire. And they are taking heavy damage, but it looks like they will not get wiped. Stern Pio has moved to repair the flag half-track now, which is in no real danger of being destroyed. Only 75 points remain for Price, though, and it doesn't seem to be showing any signs of getting control of this game. However, his flag half-track is doing a good job of protecting this victory point. He still has to find a way to protect a second one, or he's just going to run out of time on a double cap. Or single. I don't know what to call this situation. Heat shells equipped on the Jagdpanzer. That's 45 munitions to do that. I don't think that even connected. There's now a second IS-2 reversing onto the battlefield. That Volksgrenadier squad has to retreat. Gets away safely. 2 squads, plus this one, 3 squads available in the north to try and get control of this VP against 1 flamethrower. They should be successful, although 2 IS-2s are moving to counter.
Grenadiers ready. Send your orders!
Stand ready!
Enemy infantry!
Volksgrenadiers are on the line.
IS-2s take huge shots at those stern piles and they are forced to retreat. Wow, thank you, Loveness, for that host. 93 viewers. Thank you very much. Everybody is just in time to see Price getting wrecked by Paul. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to survive this push. 2 IS-2s going in hard on that Jagdpanzer. It just got crew shocked. The heat shells are at least penetrating, so that's good. Good job, heat shells. Half-track will pop smoke to try and cover the Jagdpanzer's retreat, but there are 2 IS-2s diving into Price's base, and it doesn't look like there's anything he can do about it. He will activate camo on his Jagdpanzer, and the IS-2s, fortunately, are going to pull back to safety. There is a pretty decent-sized Panzerschreck blob in this base, so I can see why he might want to be careful, but that Jagdpanzer was just 1 hit from death. That being said, Paul doesn't really need to dive into the base to win this game. He just needs to get this triple cap going, and there will probably be nothing that Price can do about that. 32 points remain, 2 shock troops defending here in the center. I don't even know if a Volksgrenadier blob of that size can beat these shock troops. Grenade kills a couple Volksgrenadiers. Smoke will force the Volksgrenadiers to get into very short range. There goes another frag. Ooh, almost wiping that squad. There goes that one, just got wiped. Volksgrenadiers have no choice but to suicide themselves into this meat grinder and hope for the best. 1 frag to 2 frag tosses will force the shock troops to retreat. The IS-2 is grinding up the rest of them, and the Volksgrenadiers are reduced to mincemeat. The Jagdpanzer moving to try and counter will, of course, be unsuccessful. With only 12 points remaining, it seems there is nothing Price can do on any front. Black half-track goes down. There's the triple cap against Price. And Paul will take the series. Price seemed to do a little bit better that game. At least he lasted longer than 13 minutes, but Paul eventually was the victor with 338 victory points using pretty standard shock rifle versus Oberkommando West on Kolodny Ferma. Pretty textbook stuff, I would say, and Price's attempt at elite armor really came nowhere close. Good game. Well played, Paul.